can't keep fooling me, but I just want to tell you, thank you, thank you for the birthday present. I really do like it. When you get a chance, just give me a call. Bye bye.
Hey, friend. Hey, welcome back to Cash Your Cares podcast. I know that I have not posted an actual or a new episode of Cash Your Cares podcast in a while, but I felt the need to just give a tribute to that one lady that you heard, my grandmother, Gloria Little. Um, Today is her birthday. And even though she is no longer with us in the physical, I felt the need to come on here and say happy birthday. For those of you who do know, my grandmother was, is all things my heart, right? We call her Bubba. Don't ask me where the name came from. Actually, it came from my sister. Thanks a lot, Maya. I don't know if she couldn't say grandma or grandmother or granny or Gigi or Nana, but some type of way, she ended up calling her Bubba, and it stuck. So no, we didn't get a grandma or a Gigi or granny. What's the other names? There's so many different names now. We didn't get that. We got a Bubba. She was this 4'11", long-haired, spicy chick, right? She didn't take any stuff. And I just wanted to get on here to just talk about her, to honor her. In her life, she didn't get a chance to be honored as much as I think that she deserved. And maybe I'm just biased because she's my grandmother. But, yeah, so I'm here to talk about my Bubba. During the time, she became my baby. So as we got older, because when she got older, I got older too. She became my baby. And so I will always sing to her, "You will always be my baby, do-do-do, do-do-do, yeah." So I was always sing that to her because she was my baby. Growing up, Bubba was quiet, but she was that girl. She stood her ground. She was spicy. She was tenacious. She was put her foot down, say what she say, right? But in that she was also very silent. She chose when she was spicy and when she decided to talk. And when she talked, you listen. But nevertheless, let's talk about some memories. And this is kind of a spur of the moment thing. As I sit here and I think about it now, maybe I could have. It's kind of a spur of the moment thing. As I sit here and I think about it now, maybe I could have talked to my mom or my aunt or my cousins and asked them about their favorite memory. But today, y'all are just getting me and everything Bubba. So Bubba is the oldest of her siblings. Well, Bubba was the oldest of her siblings. She was the shortest one of her siblings. Everybody else is like, I don't know, none of us are really tall, but like 5'8", 5'4" at the tallest, and she stood at 4'11", and she still was, to me, the strongest person in the room. Just because you're small doesn't mean anything, okay? I remember her taking me to the zoo with my mom. I remember us always going to the zoo. I remember her always being wherever I was. I remember birthday parties and where she's always there. I remember the gifts that she would get me. I remember her taking me, because if anybody asks, I'm the favorite grandchild, okay? She would take me and we would go to her house, and I would spend the night, and I would jump on her bed, and they would let me do it with no problem. They would let me jump on their bed, and they never told me no. I remember those things. I remember her always cooking like rice and eggs. And if you're from the South, rice and eggs go together, okay? Or like pancakes and sausages. Like my grandma was a breakfast cook. She did all the breakfast foods for us. Oatmeal. We did, I was going to talk about fried bologna, but my uncle actually taught me how to cook fried bologna, which is a delicacy, okay? So don't knock it till you try it. But I remember her always having there's this big, like what we call it a boombox, but like a radio, and it was always in the kitchen, and it was always on V103, but it was only during the gospel time. Like it wasn't when everything else was playing, but like always on the gospel station. So V103 in the mornings, but then when like at 11, when they switched over to like the secular music, she would put it on 102.5. And that's when like Yolanda Adams and Dunny McClurkin was out. Yeah, it was just really cool, to have her just be everywhere that I was. My grandma literally was everywhere. She didn't drive, but baby, trust me, she was going to get there. Somebody was going to come pick her up, and we are going to be together. I remember, these are in my younger years, by the way. I remember her being at, again, like I said, every birthday party. I don't think there was not a birthday party where I didn't see her. She used to wear these rollers in her hair to get her to curl her hair. The sponge rollers, the old people rollers as I call them. And she would always use a lot of body on her hair, and then she would use the I think it's like tissue paper, or maybe just regular tissue, but she would wrap it around the pink sponge roller, and she would curl her hair all the time. My grandma had the best hair. She was the girl with the hair. And then when she found out that I could braid, me and my best friend, we were always like braiding her hair. She wanted all the braids. So if you think that I can braid, like, thank Bubba, because between my sister and my grandma, I got all the practice in. And I just remember being at one house where the house where I would go jump on their bed, her and my granddad, she would have like ice popsicles in the freezer, and like they used to have this clear runner in like all the rooms. I don't know if y'all remember the runners. Oh my god. But she had the runners, and like I would like try and run on the runners with my socks and like slide on the runners, but please make sure that you do not get on the carpet, because you are going to get yelled at. I remember watching Stories with my grandmother. Man, we would sit in the sunroom and basically watch Matlock and Young and the Restless. And then as I got older, I think the name of it was The Passions or something like that. Oh man, little Timmy. Oh my goodness. I remember watching those, like it was nothing crazy, but you watching Stories with your grandma, or like I said, Matlock, In the Heat of the Night. I don't know if y'all remember that show, but those were our shows. We would sit and, she would make me my breakfast, my rice, my eggs, my sausage with some orange juice or some apple juice, and we would sit in the sunroom with all her plants, and we would just sit and watch TV together and talk about Matlock and like how he's so smart and how we know he's gonna, crack the case. Same with In the Heat of the Night. It was I took it for granted. Because sitting there in that sunroom with her with like I probably wore like I didn't like Barney, so I feel like my sister, she wore the Barney pajamas. I was more of a Sesame Street girl, so like I probably had like Big Bird on or something like that. But I remember sitting in my pajamas like in the morning time, after we've watched our shows, which is like Dragon Tales and like those type of shows. We watched those, and then when in the afternoon came, we watching Matlock and In the Heat of the Night. Man, watching movies with my grandma was hilarious because she's not trying to watch no little prissy little movie. She's trying to watch Rush Hour, and like she's watching those type of movies. Tombstone, that was her favorite movie. What little woman do you know that loves Tombstone? My grandma. We watched those type of movies. She was the movie lady. We would get all the movies. We would sit, watch movies, laugh, and eat. We had to eat. We used to have snacks all the time. And those are just like in my younger years. And as I got older and I could drive, she's not cooking no more. Now I have to cook. She wants me to cook spaghetti and she wants me to cook the chicken. And I'm like, no, I'm the baby. Remember, you're supposed to be going to go cook for me. Nope, I'm in the kitchen cooking for her. Man, one thing I remember is her always opening the doors for anybody that needed help. You can come stay at the house. There's plenty of times where I was like, I need to come, and she's like, come on, baby. Come on, Kipu. That's what she used to call me. There's plenty of times where people have laid their heads at my grandma's house because they didn't have anywhere to go. And I'm grateful because she had the hospitality. She wasn't like the nicest person, but she was the nicest person. My grandma meant business. She said what she said. And if she don't say nothing, then she probably didn't like you, to be honest. So that's a secret. If you didn't know, if you always ask why Bubba didn't ever say anything to you, she probably didn't like you. But if she asked you to braid her hair or take her to the laundromat or take her to the post office or take her to go pay a bill, that means she trusts you and she liked you and you were family. And even if she didn't like you, she still would allow you to come in her house, and because she didn't want to see anybody in need. That's what I did love about my grandmother. She stood her ground on what she believed in, and she said what she had to say. But at the same time, she always had a kind heart in doing what was right for people. She was my friend. Like, I know they say, like, your parents and all the things, like, are your friend. But she was my parent. She was my grandparent. And she was my friend. I would call her up and be like, girl, what you doing? And she'd be like, Kiki, don't be calling me girl. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Hey, baby, what you doing? We would switch up. I love to see her smile. It wasn't often that when she was growing up, she had times to smile. But every time I was around her, I wanted to make sure that she had a smile on her face, that she could genuinely laugh. And I still remember to this day, the last time actually, it wasn't me, it was Charles that made her laugh. Ew, it wasn't me, it was Charles, but it's okay. I still got to witness it. She was laughing, like her smile was so big, y'all. It was actually the day that we buried my aunt. After we bury our family members, we try and get together and hang out just a little bit longer because, the times, right? And as we were just reminiscing about things, Charles said something funny. It wasn't that funny. No, I'm a hater. It was funny. And she laughed so loud. During that time, it was hard for her to smile and to laugh. A year or two prior that year, we lost our uncle. So before Bubba passed away, she lost 2 kids. And from the time we lost my uncle to the time she passed, it had become hard again for her. She began to get sick and things of that nature. And then losing my aunt was just another thing. But even through all the bad, seeing my grandmother smile and laugh that hard, I mean, she could have lost her teeth. She was laughing so hard. It was such a joy. It was just such a joy to see her smile and to like genuinely just be happy. It was, man, I think, of course I recorded it. And I have to find it because it's one of my favorite memories of her. Just to see her laugh and joke. I still remember to this day, after I got sick and I was going through a lot of things, and Charles was at work. He was living in Tennessee when I was living in Georgia, and it was all the things, because of his job. I stayed with my grandma. Like, I went and stayed with my grandma. Duh. And it was the best time, even though I was still sick and recovering. And Charles was traveling from Tennessee. It seemed like every other day to come see us. Like, he still had to get back to work. But my grandma was there. And even though she was going through her sickness and her illness, she was taking care of me. And I was taking care of her. And we just 2 sick babies taking care of each other. But I would get up and go to work and come back, and we would have dinner together, and we would talk, man. And we would stay up. We always stayed up till like 11:15. We couldn't stay up no longer than 11:15 because I had to get up, and I didn't want her to be sleeping all day, in the bed. So 11:15 was our cutoff time for whatever movie we was watching. And most of the time she got to pick because I would want to watch musicals, but she wants to watch shoot 'em up stuff. She was such a gangster. Yeah, that was my girl. That was my girl. And so I don't want this to be too long because I can literally talk about her all day. I want to say, happy birthday, Bubba. I love you. I miss you so much. It is going to be weird to not call you, and, you not pick up. I know there's some times where I'm driving home from work, and this will be the time where I will call her. And just hear her voice and just check on her. Make sure she's not shopping because, man, this lady could shop for things that she didn't even need. Half the time even want. She just seen it and she thought it was cute and she's like, okay, I'm getting it. During the time before she transitioned, I was over her finances and I would check the bank account and I'm like, ma'am, why do you need to spend this much money on this? Or ma'am, what are you doing? I thought we weren't buying this month. We said next month, we had a plan. And she would talk to me and be like, well, Kiki, I just thought, we should need it. And then sometimes she would even go as far as saying, well, Kiki, I bought something for you. Ma'am, what? Man, she was funny. My little 4'11" baby doll, I loved braiding her hair. I loved seeing her with Taylor, and not only just Taylor, like all her other great grands. That's one thing that I'm grateful for. She got to be around her great grandchildren and literally live life with them. Like all of them kept her so lively, kept her with the times. Yeah, it's just so cool. It was so cool to see her be a great grandmother. You talking about already spoiled as grandchildren. Those great grands, they got everything they wanted. But it was good to see. It's going to be weird this year because she usually comes up here for Thanksgiving. Her, my mom, my stepdad, they usually travel up here. And it's going to be different to not see her or try and carry her up the steps, or, you know, have her taste my banana pudding, because she's the one that taught me to make banana pudding. To have her not taste my sister's dressing, because she's the one that taught my sister how to do dressing. It's going to be different, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I got to spend so much time with her, because I talk to other people and they talk about how, you know, their grandmother passed when they were 10 years old, 8 years old. I got to spend 35 years with that lady. And I don't take it for granted at all. I'm glad I got to be Kipu to her. I'm just glad that I got to hang with my baby. I used to make her laugh. I used to get on and I used to dance on her, and she'd be like, "Girl, you crazy." But I was crazy about her. Like, she was just that girl. And I'm gonna miss her. So I want to end this by, I guess, presenting this poem, I guess, or this tribute. And it says, Gloria, a woman small in stature, but mighty in spirit. Her home was a haven. Her heart was generous. Her love was steady and sure. She gave what she had, stood her ground with grace, and cheered her loved ones through every season of every race. Gloria, giving and grounded, little in height, large in loyalty, opened her doors and her purse, resilient and rooted in family, intentionally reserved, anchored in attendance. She may have stood 4'11", but her presence filled every room she entered. Forever loved, forever our Gloria. And so, I just want to say thanks for letting me cast my cares on how much I miss my grandmother. And until next time, happy birthday, Bubba.